You're listening to a Total Fit Show. Each week, Mike brings you tips, insights, and interviews with other health and wellness professionals to help you become the best version of yourself. He may sound like he has it all together, but make no mistake, this is a Total Fit Show.
There's a quote that's been rattling around in my head for years now. You're best suited to serve the person you used to be. Now, I didn't come up with it, but the first time I heard it, it landed like a gut punch. It just explained something about my life that I had never been able to put into words. Welcome to a Total Fit Show. I'm Mike Williams, the owner of No Limits Fitness in Melbourne, Florida. And this first episode is the one where I tell you exactly who you're dealing with, because you're going to spend your time or your commute, your recovery day walk, listening to me talk about strength and conditioning, nutrition, recovery, mindset. You probably should know why you should trust a single word that I say. The short version is I'm not a lifelong fitness addict here to lecture you about your discipline. I am one of the least likely people to ever end up owning a gym. And, well, the long version, that'll be the rest of the episode. So I'm going to go through some of the greatest hits of my own dumbassery. So the thing that nobody ever tells you about hitting rock bottom with your health is there isn't usually one big, cinematic moment, but there is a lot of small, stupid, repeatable ones. I didn't just make every mistake in the book once. I made most of them multiple times, just in case the first screw up was a fluke and I wanted to confirm the data. But I played 4 sports in high school. I was good at all of them, but I wasn't good enough at any of them to play in college or at the next level. I was very active for most of my 20s, but just before I turned 30, my professional career had gained traction, and then everything started to become a little harder, struggling to find time to exercise and all the things that go with that. But I started making those excuses, and before I knew it, I was gaining weight, and then my energy level it wasn't the same as what I had become accustomed to. The really embarrassing part was that I had no idea why. I didn't know a thing about healthy eating, and that only compounded the issue. I was in denial about the state of my physical being, and I still thought of myself as athletic, despite all evidence to the contrary. Looking back, I probably believed that I could just flip a switch and get back in shape whenever I was ready. Well, this went on for the next 10 years or so, and I did absolutely nothing for my health. Every year I gained a little more weight and told myself the biggest lie in fitness. That lie is I'll start working out and insert your bullshit time here. Whether it's Monday, next month, January, whatever it is, but those are the things that I would tell myself. It was never today, and it was I'll start at some point in the future. And that's the biggest lie in fitness. You're either starting today, and it's now, or you're full of crap. You just don't know it. I was working at Coca-Cola at the time. Of course, everybody knows that's the healthiest place on earth. But at the end of every year, we had to take a health assessment as part of the open enrollment for benefits. Well, one of the first questions that was on that survey was your current weight. You'd enter that, and then it would update, and then it moved to the next page, and it would show your weight from last year. And every year, this would absolutely freak me out. How the hell did I gain 20 pounds in 1 year? And then I would always remember that, when I filled it out previous year, I lied, but twice. The first lie was about my actual weight at the time, and then the second lie, the bigger one, was that I was actually going to do something about it and get below that bullshit number I just gave before next year. So New Year's resolutions were always cool. And so hey, I'll commit in January. That's what everybody else seemed to be doing. And it allowed me to defer taking action to what seemed like the most logical time to start. And so it made sense when I did it. And so I did it with the best of intentions. It just obviously didn't work out real well. And so guess what I did year after year? absolutely nothing. That the lie I told myself, and whether it was late October, early November, was just a distant memory by the time that January rolled around. By the time I was 40, oh God, I felt incredibly defeated. My gut was big enough that putting on my shoes was actually physically uncomfortable. And I would see myself in the mirror, or I'd see myself like even shadows in a parking lot. And it just didn't, it didn't align with how I wanted to think about myself. And it wrecked my confidence. And I honestly didn't think my confidence could get any lower. But what I didn't know at the time was that not following through on the promises that you make to yourself is the single biggest threat to your self confidence. So I would tell myself that I was going to lose weight and I was going to get in shape. I really wanted it, but that wasn't the issue. I simply just didn't have the follow through or the belief that I would actually follow through. And so it sounded good, but then, inside, I really didn't think I was actually going to take action. I didn't know how to get started. Um, More importantly, I didn't know how to keep going when things got hard. And I didn't know that all the mini concessions and breaks that we give ourselves are the very things that undermine our momentum and our self confidence. I didn't have a coach or someone to keep me accountable for doing the daily activities that, when done consistently for a long enough period of time, allow for the possibility that you could actually get a result. I was looking for something far more immediate, and wasn't, I didn't know how long you need to put the effort in to realistically see a result. So I look back, all the times I tried to do P90X. I mean, it seems kind of funny now, but I promise you it was not funny at the time. I, on several different occasions, I tried to start that program. I think I made it as far as 3 to 4 weeks into the program. Every time I did it, I felt like absolute hammered shit. I'd make an excuse to skip a workout because my body was wrecked, and that made it easier to make an excuse the next time. So one excuse made the next excuse easier. It didn't feel like as much of a letdown. And it was inconceivable to me that one skipped workout in the beginning would significantly increase the likelihood that I was going to quit. But it happened at least 3 times. Um, like looking back at all that stuff, I mean, don't even get me started on the horrific recommendation that is working out 5 to 6 days a week for somebody who's, hasn't lifted anything heavier than his fork in a decade. That's an awful recommendation. But that was the reason that I felt like crap. Working out too much would go from 0 to 60, and then you wonder why you feel like hell. So it's no wonder that I felt like shit, and it's no wonder that I quit. I was going on a really bad recommendation, but I didn't know any better, and I didn't know what I didn't know. At some point in the future, I thought maybe the program was the problem. I'd burned copies of the Insanity DVDs, and my plan was to recruit other people to join me in doing that program. And I still have those burned DVDs, and I never even did the first workout. So it was another lie with good intentions. And my wife's always told me that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So that probably makes me the civil engineer on that project. Eventually, I made a decision to work with a coach. And having someone in my corner turned everything around. I was not going to quit on someone else. I would quit on myself all day long, but maybe because nobody knew about that. But there was no way in hell somebody else could know that I was a quitter. I would not quit on a coach. And it sounds kind of shallow and stupid when I say it out loud, but it's just exactly what I was thinking. And that's just how I'm wired. And what's crazy is that's what actually worked. So I started dropping weight. I started exercising consistently for the first time in almost 15 years. I found something I could actually stick with. But it changed how I felt about myself, and it ignited something inside of me. And then through a series of bad decisions, we opened a gym. And even though it's worked out, my journey as a gym owner, it kind of mirrors that of my own personal transformation. In the beginning, it was a total shit show. That's what led to the name of this podcast. just over owning the gym for a year. I was still working at Coke. The gym was more of a side project. It wasn't something that I had ever thought would replace my income. It was just something I was really passionate around it because it had worked for me. And I kind of just, I wanted to share that with other people. I wanted to help somebody else because it had made such a big difference for me. But Coke was going through a series of restructurings, and suddenly I found myself presented with the option of taking another position, or I could take a 6-month buyout with full benefits and try to make a living running the gym. At that point in time, I had never taken a paycheck from the gym. There was nothing to indicate that it would even remotely be successful. So, I mean, it sounds like the American dream, but in all reality, I was scared to death. The only thing that made me take that next step forward was that, but my wife, Tina, believed in me, whatever reason. So she looks like a genius now, but like in retrospect, I thought she was batshit crazy because there was zero indication that I was going to be able to make that work. I hadn't done anything even remotely that indicated I knew what the hell I was doing. And she just kept telling me, you can do this. And my dumbass, I guess when the most beautiful woman you've ever known in your life tells you that she believes in you, you move forward. And that's what happened. 6 months into leaving Coke and trying to run the gym, I'm still not taking a paycheck. And we're trying to feed 5 boys that eat like 2-legged garbage disposals. I took all the money that I had left and I invested it with a business coach. I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And if I kept going down that path, I would almost certainly fail and then have to go back to Coke, which I absolutely did not want to do. Well, obviously it worked out, but it is not a move that I would ever recommend to somebody else. When I was stressed out, I had nightmares about failing. And it was a really difficult journey. But with my back against the wall, I had no choice but to learn and execute. The gym's been open now for more than 12 years, and we recently opened a second location. I'd like to think I've grown a little wiser over the years. It's not likely, but I still want to believe it. The incredibly rewarding part is that along the way, I've been lucky enough to have helped hundreds of busy adults improve their health and fitness. Having made all the mistakes multiple times, I'm able to help people overcome these obstacles faster than I did. There are so many things that having gone through them that I feel like I learned the lesson slower than everybody. And so like one of the things that I'm driven to do is to make sure that everybody learns that lesson faster than me. Plus, it's easier to recognize the mistakes when somebody else is making them. But my entire journey has left me with a foundational belief that people perform better with a coach. In the beginning, I thought it was just me. Turns out that almost everybody is wired the same way. But having a coach turned my health around and it saved my business. So I still practice what I preach. And to this day, I still work with a coach. In fact, as of this recording, I'm currently working with 2 of them. Along the way, I've become an avid reader, a research nut, and an observer of human behavior. I am fascinated with why we do what we do. My goal with this podcast is share the most important things I've learned along the way about strength training, conditioning, nutrition, recovery, and mindset to help anyone who bothers to listen improve their life, their health, and their performance. Every week on the show, 1 of 3 things is going to happen. Some weeks it'll just be you and me and the voices in my head, breaking down exactly what moves the needle and that which is complete garbage or a waste of time. Some weeks I'll interview the other wellness professionals I've met along the way. These are the people I turn to for information that's outside my area of expertise. They'll share insights and information and answer some frequently asked questions that, ChatGPT may have sourced from a random influencer. So you'll get it from somebody who's actually putting everything into practice. And then you'll also hear some incredible stories from actual clients right here in our local community. They can tell you about their journey, their struggles, and what ultimately made the difference for them. Some episodes will be short. Some weeks I'll probably get long-winded. I've got ADD. That's going to happen. But what you aren't going to get are commercials, sales pitches, or a bunch of misinformation. If I don't know the answer, I research it, but I won't make shit up. So I'll leave you with this. So that quote that I referenced earlier, you're best suited to serve the person you used to be. It's not something I thought just sounded cool. It's the whole reason behind why I do what I do. And it's the whole reason that this show exists. Nobody's really in charge in the world of health and wellness or fitness and nutrition. So the absurd claims, that's what pays the bills, and fact checkers in this world go broke. The industry professionals can't agree, and they mock each other online, each one claiming that the other person's spewing a bunch of crap. So if the industry can't get it together, how in the hell is the average person supposed to figure it out? I'm Mike Williams, and I'm going to do my best to filter out the crap so you can learn the lessons without the scars. Welcome to A Total Fit Show.
Thanks for listening to this episode of A Total Fit Show. If you like what you've heard, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. You can also find more info and how to get in touch with Mike at NoLimitsFitnessFL.com. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us on the next episode of A Total Fit Show.